Fool, this night your soul will be required of you. Then whose will those things be which you have provided?
The fool of the Bible in modern times was me. It so happened that we wanted to have a child. We had a son. He was born with 8 months. He was born prematurely. That was when my wife started having postpartum depression. That was the start of many difficult situations in our lives. Our situation got very complicated. We came to the church when he was in a very deplorable health condition. Our financial situation was very complicated. It was very complicated because I had some savings, but we ended up spending it for his health. But nothing solved it.
We started solving the problem with Diogo. I solved my problem with depression, and in the beginning, I would manifest with demons. I was healed from the insomnia that I had and from depression. So I believed that God could do this in our lives. He also restored our marriage when we came to the church because it was destroyed.
We had faith to achieve. We were able to achieve. We were achieving the things that we wanted. So much so that we had an old car and we sacrificed it. We achieved an imported car. We achieved the refurbishment of our house. We achieved a company. We bought new machinery. Apparently, our lives were a bed of roses. We were making a very good living. However, our spiritual life was dead. Our spiritual lives were in complete decadence for the reason that we only wanted to achieve material things. We had no intention. The pastor would talk about the Holy Spirit, but we didn't even know what the Holy Spirit was.
We were self-centered, completely self-centered, because we would say, I am going to prosper. I want to have an imported car. I want to have a house. I want to have this and that. But the Holy Spirit would never cross our minds.
Then I started getting full of myself. Perhaps even proud, because I was able to achieve this and that. I was able to buy anything I wanted. A point came where I even compared myself to the man in the Bible. From the verse that says, I prospered, I achieved everything that I wanted in this world. What am I going to do now? I am going to rest. I am going to relax, because everything is okay. I am at ease now. I already have money saved. I already have a car. I already have assets. I already have property. That was when my decadence began. I would return the tithe correctly. However, my prosperity reached a point where I would earn money and say, I think my tithe is this much. I think it is this much now. In the following month or payment, I would think, this time I will return this much. I had lost the fear that I had towards God, in such a way that our lives started having arguments again. There were criticisms. The company started going off the rails. Problems began to arise. And my wife would come to me and say, Marcio, are you doing this properly?
The wise woman builds her house, isn't it? But in that moment, I was no longer wise because I would keep harping on the same string saying, Marcio, you have to return the tithe. Marcio, what was the company's profit so that we can return the tithe? Then I decided to say, let him break his face. Let him break his face. However, as an unwise woman, did not notice that I would break my face with him because we are one body.
I would go to church mechanically. I would hear the pastor speaking. I would hear the bishop preaching, but it would not go inside me. I started looking at the altar with a bad eye. I would think, why should I sacrifice again? If I already made sacrifices, if I have already sacrificed, why do I have to sacrifice again? When I finally opened my eyes, we had debt in the millions, to the point of having to sell everything that we had achieved, and it would still not be enough to pay our debts. We had bought a piece of land, a very big one, which had a forest in it. I had to go to the land to cut down palm hearts in order to bring it home for us to eat. We would eat those palm hearts. We would cook palm heart pastries and cook everything with palm hearts, to the point that my son said, Dad, are things so bad for us that we only have to eat palm hearts at home? And I was in church, doing whatever my heart commanded. The heart, not an intelligent faith, but my heart was telling me to do. Everything was going wrong. The four of us, my wife and I, and both our children were left in this very tough situation. Then one day, as I was thinking, a Bible verse came into my mind, which told me, "Fool, if I ask you for your soul today, what have you prepared for me?" In that moment, I saw that I was the poorest and most miserable man of all, because I didn't even have a saved soul to give to God. That word went into me like a knife. It cut my ego. It cut my pride. Such a great revolt arose in me because I had lost everything that I had achieved in church, and I didn't even have my soul saved for Jesus after spending 10 years in the church. I had nothing else. I had gone to church for 10 years just to, as people say, warm up the seats. I was hearing only what I wanted, understanding only what I wanted to understand. In the revolt that I was in, that my wife was in, we went into the campaign with all our strength in pursuit of the altar. As the pastor had said, not the gold that was on top of it. We closed our eyes to the gold and we went there to seek the Holy Spirit.
There was never a campaign or a moment where we went on the altar or a vow made where we asked for the Holy Spirit. No. What for? It was unnecessary. Then I revolted within myself. I said, wait a minute, I've been in the church for almost 10 years and I'm going to hell. Then we started fixing our situation with the tithe in our company and doing things correctly.
In that campaign, I did not only make a material sacrifice for myself, but the sacrifice of my own self. I started creating in me a fear toward the Holy Spirit, a fear towards returning the tithe, a fear for the house of God. And when the moment came to go up on the altar, I told God that day, "My God, I have nothing else to give you, but I want to go down from this altar a different man. If you could give me a chance to start over with you and have the sense of innocence back when looking at you, my God, give me this opportunity."
I told God and poured myself out on the altar. I don't want to live by appearances anymore. I want to be a new woman. I want to be a new person. But in order to do this, I need you in me because by myself, I am nothing.
On a Wednesday, I was working alone in the company in the morning, just myself. And I started praying. I started praying and seeking God while working on a machine. It was in that moment that God revealed himself to me. It was wonderful because I forgot about the world. I forgot about everything. My greatest desire in that moment was to praise and thank God for giving me something that was so important, which I, being such an insignificant, proud, and arrogant being as I was, did not deserve. And he gave me the opportunity of sharing his spirit with me.
I was thirsty for God to come upon me. I didn't want God to walk by my side, but to be in me. That was when the Holy Spirit came upon me. I felt such a great joy that I wanted to hug people there in front. I kept thinking, control yourself, Marie, or else they will think that you are crazy. But I wanted to hug people, to tell them that they had to seek God, that they would make it, that they would have this wonderful God in their lives.
Today, our material life is wonderful. I have flats in Blumenau. I have houses. I have flats facing the beach. I have cars. I have the company. I have land and property. I have a lot. I have material things. But it's not just material. Today, the only thing that I am sure I don't want to lose, I don't accept losing, and I fight every day to keep, is my salvation, the Holy Spirit in me.
Today, our sons are a blessing from God. The eldest works with us in the company. The youngest has turned 18 yesterday. We left this legacy to them, the altar.
To make it very clear, that is not about Marcio anymore. It is about what is in Marcio that goes ahead of me, making changes, giving direction, and making things happen as it should happen for a child of God. It was like this, by receiving the Holy Spirit, that I left slavery in Egypt and managed to get to the promised land. Today, if there is one thing I am crazy about, it is obeying God. Whatever He asks of me, that is what I will do.